Welcome to Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. I am still your host and the author of Getting the Most Out of Your College Experience. I am very excited today for many reasons. So let's get started. Welcome to Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. I am excited because, believe it or not, today, actually exactly November 7th, 2001 was when I released the very first episode of Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. Do you all remember what that episode was? Anyway, today is a happy anniversary for Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. 4 years later and counting, 90 episodes. I can't thank you all more for your support. Keep watching. Please keep sending your questions. This will keep going. 10 years, 20 years, we'll still keep doing this here. But I am excited. Congratulations to Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. And I'm going to do a quick flashback to the very first episode that I did. Hello. Welcome to Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. Today we're going to be talking about money. How do students make money? How do students spend money? And how do students get money? We have an expert with us today to tell us all about money. Stay tuned. Good morning, Ms. Latanya. It's great to have you here. Welcome to Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. I said before that I'm amazed. It pleases me, and I'm very happy when I see people like you who are very interested in helping our students, and that's kind of how all this started. We're here today to talk about student money management. We're talking about money. So we're going to get right to it. Ms. Latanya has got great experience in money management, and I was very happy to have met her here. So I invited her to our very first Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. How students can get money. Yeah. Now let's talk about how students can make money. Yes. Right? When I was a college student, I worked in the kitchen, I worked in the library, everywhere I could work, I would do it to make money. Yeah. But how are students making money these days? Yeah.
All right, so students are doing so many different things to make money. So there's regular jobs. I see students that have multiple jobs. Right. And that could include federal work study, which means, they're getting money and they're able to either work on campus or off campus. Right. I see students that have businesses. So they're in school, but they definitely have a business that they're starting, or some have been in business for a while. So there's so many different ways that students are making money these days. Okay.
How do students spend money?
And this is the question.
Yes.
So many different ways. Yes. So because we know students are in so many different places in life as they're attending school. So they may be spending money on their everyday expenses, so living expenses, so housing, cars. They may be spending money on loans. But one thing I do want to point out that has been an area where some students have found cost savings is with dining out. So there is quite a bit of eating out, and we understand it may be you juggling, school, academics, and home, and jobs, and all of those different things. So it may not be that there's enough time to cook at home if you know how to cook, But that maybe could be your next show, a cooking show.
Well, there we have it. Student money management, money. Again, this could be different episodes. Send in your questions. If you need to reach Ms. Latanya, I will help you get to her. But again, find somewhere on your campus for student money management. They will help you. Budgeting, I think, is big, right?
Absolutely.
My wife does all the budgeting, so she's good at that. So yes, hopefully, that will be one area that we can help you. And that is the end of Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris, our first edition. Thanks again, Ms. Latanya.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, in commemoration to the very first episode and also for this happy anniversary, we're going to talk more about how students can save money. So today's topic is going to be smart cents. college money hacks, stretching your student dollar and how students can save money in college. All right, so that will be the topic today as we're celebrating this 4th anniversary of Let's Talk EduPro. Do you know how much you all spend a year on textbooks? That average is $1,200 per year. What about food? That's actually one of my biggest one. When I did a very first episode of Let's Talk Ed Professor Chris, as you just saw in the flashback with Miss Latanya, I was surprised to find out students spend most of their money on food, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. On an average per month, students spend anywhere from $450 to $650 for food. So annually, that also ranges from anywhere to $5,400 to $8,100 a year. That is a lot of money on food. And we'll get to that. So let's do my top 5 strategies of how students can save money. Let's get right to it. Number 1, basic budgeting. Budgeting basics. All right. So we are all not financial advisors or experts when it comes to finance, but at a very, very minimum, we can all determine how much money comes in and what goes out. So for example, if you're on financial aid, how much is that? How much does it cover your textbooks, your food? You could do that calculation. If you're working on campus, you know exactly how much money is coming in, what you're doing 15 hours per week, 20 hours per week. You could calculate all that, please. Don't forget to do this after tax, okay? After tax. And yes, sometimes that amount looks really good, but after tax, we know it's not that. So the basic budgeting skill that you need to have is really knowing how much is coming in. Just add all those up. We can all do that. We're in college. Very simple. And subtract how much money is going out. My hope is that at least after this calculation, there is a little bit left that will go into what we call a savings. Basic. Know how to budget. It matters a lot, okay? There are a lot of tools out there that students can use these days. You know, there's Mint, there's YNAB, there's Good Budget. Use that. Basically what that does is to track all your expenses. Budgeting is it can get very complicated. That's why I'm going with the very, very basic. And we got to be realistic. We got to be very, very realistic on, okay, this how much is coming in, this how much is going out. Because this way you can identify exactly where your money is going, and if you need to cut back on funding, you know exactly what to do. So that's number 1, budgeting basics. Number 2, textbook savings. I already open up with how much money, $1,200 a year, that students spend on textbooks. There are different ways to save on textbooks. My number 1, which I used to do while I was in college, was, and it also helped that I knew most of the seniors when I was in college. They were tutoring me, or they were my tutors. So usually, you know they've taken some of the classes that you're going to be taking. Reach out to them first to see if they have the textbook. That textbook could be sitting down somewhere. They don't need it. You could probably get it for free. Also, initially I was not a big fan of renting books, but here's the reason. Most of the classes, your early classes, the freshmen and sophomores, this is probably a very good advice to you. Most of your initial classes are all going to be prerequisites. And usually your instructors will always reference back to some of those classes. So I've always said your initial textbooks, I'm actually advise you not to sell them because you might need them. However, if those history books, if you know you're not going to be a history major, or you took a business class and you know you're going into engineering, and those textbooks you're not going to be needing or using anymore, you're better off renting those. It saves you a lot of money, okay? Buy used textbooks. And these days, unfortunately, usually when I give this advice when it comes to books in the library, just go get a book, keep renewing it. It depends on the amount of books that student is in the library for that topic. So I don't want students to be selfish, just holding on to that textbook. And I believe some libraries actually will restrict you after 2 renewals. You can't do 3 renewals. So, but that's also a very good way to start. Maybe you go check out the library book, get the questions that you need. Also, I know there are Facebook websites now that students discuss, hey, I have this textbook. Does anybody want to swap? I'm looking for this textbooks. So use those platforms. Thrift Books is also another website that you can check out. But again, the Facebook groups is always very helpful. You're all on there anyway on Facebook. Spend a lot of time doing, Lord knows what. Use that time to get some free textbooks. So number 2, okay, textbook savings. Number 3, food dining hacks. I already told you how much you are all spending on food, okay? It's a lot of money. One of the very first episodes that I did, actually after I did the money management savings episode, Miss Latanya suggested that if there's any way I can help students save on money, maybe I should do an episode on that. And I did. I actually reached out to another consultant who was very, very good with nutrition, and we went through, what is healthy. That episode is out there. You can go check it out. But in a nutshell, meal prep, if you can fix your own food, that saves you a lot of money. Okay, I know sometimes we complain about the food at the cafeteria, but it is also cost savings. Maybe you mix it up, all right? So you're not eating there the whole time and getting tired of the same food. Maybe you fix your own meal, all right? So that's another way to save money. When it comes to food, I'm actually going to digress a little bit while we're talking about this topic here, because I do want to take some time to talk about dating. And why am I coordinating or relating dating with food? Is because of some of the stories that I hear about students, especially the male students, when they find someone they really like and they're dating, and every time they go out, or food is very expensive, and maybe want to impress the other half, spend so much money on food. Going to, not the fast food restaurants either, but maybe that included, but going to some really nice restaurants that the food get very, very expensive. Ladies and gentlemen, here is my little advice. And I said I was going to digress, and yes, there's a good reason to digress here. So I'm going to set some ground rules on dating. When you're in college and you're dating, both parties should understand that you're all struggling students. And what I mean by that is, students once again should understand that you're all struggling students in college. It is okay to go on a date. If you do go to the restaurants, it is fine to say, let's split the bills, or you pay yours and I pay mine. I'm not trying to be cheap, but I'm trying to advise you in the best possible way. Or you take turns. You pay this time, I pay this time, but both parties need to understand that you're all struggling students trying to get through college and to make the ends meet. So I did digress. Number 3, again, is food and dining hacks. The other part that I want to share very quickly, so far as the strategies goes, are these. Okay. You need to find cheap ways of buying groceries or what have you, all right? Anyway, food, dining hacks, number 3. That's my top number 3 strategies of how to save money. Number 4, use the resources you are already paying for, okay? I know Planet Fitness is great. I know LA Fitness, I'm using that as an example, it's good. But most institutions have their own gyms, and yes, gym membership is not cheap. So that is one resources that if your school is providing, please use that, okay? There are counselors on campus, unless, of course, you don't think the counselors there are going to meet your needs so far as situations that you're going through, but use the counselors, use the tutors. Find out from your IT department what softwares that you can use, what softwares are free for you to use on campus. And I used to remember when I was a student at one of the very, very large universities in the United States. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that almost every day there seems to be some activities going on, and usually some of those activities come with some free food. I'm not trying to be cheap. But usually there's lunches, usually there's the dinner, there's all this pizza. There is a lot of food going around on the campus, and you can get some free food. Okay, here's a bonus when it comes to campus resources. Find opportunities on campus because it will save you one in transportation, driving off campus to go to work, and it could be rewarding, it could be fun, and it can be very productive. And here are three quick examples. If you've listened to me, if you've heard some of my episode, I do talk about how I started working in the kitchen, in the cafeteria. Oh boy, talk about free food and fresh food. I'm gonna leave it as that. Get a job in the kitchen. There's nothing wrong with that. It comes with a lot of advantages. Also, athletics. Any sport and athletics on campus, yes, you want to be the water boy. Sometimes it's the administrative component, but it is very rewarding. You get some exercise by, running back and forth down the field, be the ball boy, whatever it is. Find an opportunity in athletics. If you love sports, it is very, very rewarding in that way. And the last but not the least is also your libraries. If you find a job in the library, it is amazing. Reason being that there are a lot of times that students are not frequenting the library, which means if you're even at the front desk where you're checking out books and people coming in and out, you are going to have a lot of time to do your own work when it's not busy, okay? All right, number 4. So hopefully I provided you with some campus resources that you could take advantage of. And last but not the least, side hustles and income boosters. This is actually more about how to make money, but it can also help you save some money, okay? I already touched on the on-campus jobs that you need to take advantage of. It's going to save you money. Also, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Can you bake cookies? Can you cut hair? Can you train somebody else when it comes to exercising? Or can you cook? Find out about the rules and engagement on your campus, and all these little items that I mentioned could be a money generating strategy. We know students are staying up. If you could bake cookies, you can make a lot of money baking cookies. Again, please check with your dorms and your kitchen in your homes to see what the rules and regulations are. If you can cook weekends, even if it's barbecuing some chicken and just some corn on the side, something, students will always participate in that. That's another way to make money. And as I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, if you could do hair, men, if you could cut hair, girls, if you could braid hair, that is money generating opportunity. Well, there you have it. Once again, I am very excited. Happy anniversary. 4 years. Can you believe it? 4 years with Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. 4 years right here. Happy anniversary. My top 5 strategies as I provided is just to help you to be smart and save smart. Thanks as usual for all your support. You know, boy, I am excited. And this, makes me want to go more. Let's keep going with Let's Talk Ed. As usual, I think I've been saying this for the past 4 years as well. Don't drink beer, but leave beer. By the way, talking about strategies on saving money, the other thing I didn't add is alcohol. It's very, very expensive. I don't drink anyway, so every time I bring this topic up, students are looking at me like, what is wrong with me? Okay, I shared my whole wings and beer story a while back, but alcohol is very, very expensive. I said, don't drink it, okay? Save some money, besides all the health advantages that comes with that. So again, don't drink beer, but live beer. And my beer to you is, you should know this by now, it's been 4 years. Balance, eat well, exercise, rest, and relax. Okay, happy anniversary. Stay tuned for the next episode of Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. This is the book that I wished I had before going to college. And it's also the book I hope I had while I was in college. Get a copy of Getting the Most Out of Your College Experience now. You can get it online at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, iTunes, and Google Play. If you want a signed copy, you can go to my website at www.letustalked.com. Get your copy and let's continue to talk ed. Thank you.